bougie, ratchet. Yeah.
Why is it that female nurses are more likely to have affairs than athletes, musicians, and DJs?
Big booty, what you got a big booty.
I came across a survey from Ashley Madison, a website dedicated to hooking up cheaters and known for their extramarital affairs. And according to the survey, nurses were the biggest culprits of affairs. 23% of women in the medical field admitted to affairs, which is higher than the nightlife crowd or even high profile athletes. I asked this question on my Twitter. Why are nurses such 304s? 2.6 million views and 2,000 comments later, I had a lot of answers and opinions. The lowest IQ of those opinions sounded something like, how dare you say bad things about nurses? They kept us alive during COVID. It's an important profession. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know. Here's the thing. It's not bashing nurses to state the facts from a survey or to talk about the reality, which is that some professions seem to have more people in them that have horrible relationship behaviors and who are unfaithful. Nursing is a great profession, and nurses are very important to our society. They deserve respect for having put in the work to be in such a profession. That said, why the fuck do so many of them cheat? It's fair to ask that question without being disrespectful to everybody in the profession. Same with teachers, by the way, who are number 2 on the list. Teachers also cheat more than the nightlife crowd. Like, imagine that nice and cute teacher who is great with her second grade class, right? You remember her? Well, statistically, there's a higher probability than with other professions that she's banging the janitor after hours before she goes home to her family. And some teachers aren't just banging adults, unfortunately, higher than any other profession for women. Teachers have more female pedophiles than any other profession. And this is not the same for the males. Now, do I have anything against teachers? No, same with nurses. But it's fair to ask why the data shows stuff like this. Now, why do you need to know all this? Well, considering that 85% of affairs begin at some point in the workplace, you should probably not only know which professions are more likely to cheat, but you need to know the reasons why. It's the why that's important. 75% of nurses aren't actively having affairs, so it doesn't matter if your woman is a nurse and if she's not part of the 25% or so of the cheaters. What matters is the reasons why they're cheating. What are the conditions behind these professions that cause so much infidelity? When you know that answer, you can choose better women to be with and you can protect your relationship. So this isn't about nurses, it's about the reasons why. Let's look at all the professions for men and women according to the data that's out there. Now, for women, both nurses and teachers take the top 2 spots for most amount of infidelity. That was followed by businesswomen and female entrepreneurs for number 3, and women in finance and banking for number 4. Number 5 was social work, 6 was retail and hospitality, followed by IT at number 7. Then following in that order, it was marketing, trades, legal, the entertainment industry, and politics surprisingly coming in last for women. Now, what about the men? Their professions did not really mirror the ladies when it came to infidelity. Trades and IT came in the top 2 spots for men rather than medical or teaching. Number 3 was entrepreneurs for men, same as women. But after that, everything else looked very different. Number 4 was retail and hospitality. Number 5 was finance and banking. Then 6 was marketing, followed by medical, legal, education, then entertainment, with agriculture and social worker coming up last for men. So when we look at these lists and we notice that they don't exactly mirror or match each other, what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that men and women are different when it comes to sexual selection and when it comes to personality types, as well as triggers for infidelity. So that is actually really important, even though it should be obvious. When you're evaluating women and you're evaluating your woman, you need to recognize that the things that would cause her to cheat and the red flags you might be looking for aren't exactly the same as yours. All right. A lot of guys are guilty of looking through the lens of their own perspectives, and they're missing things when it comes to understanding the women that they're with. And again, there's nothing wrong with these professions, and there's nothing wrong with most of the people in those professions. However, there is something about these jobs that are either attracting a higher percentage of cheaters or creating the conditions for cheating, or potentially both. So, do you think that nursing and teaching attracts more bad women? Is that what you think? Well, let's see what the data says. According to this study, the medical profession as a whole attracts people with lower levels of dark triad traits compared to the norm. However, some evidence does suggest that nurses in certain leadership positions rate higher in narcissistic behaviors. Here's what I think. I think that looking at a profession to see if they are attracting more pathological personalities isn't really going to get to the bottom of this whole cheating thing. I think that maybe with the pedophilia and with teachers screwing children, the profession is attracting those female pedophiles who would want to work around children and who would want those opportunities. So when it comes to adults cheating, I don't think that pathology offers the answers as to why women in some professions cheat more than others. And the reason why is because most people have cheated or have at least done cheating behaviors at least once in their lifetime. And high percentages of people cheat in general. That is the uncomfortable truth, that most people who cheat aren't bad people. They are just usually normal people. Although cheating is wrong and a terrible thing to do to your significant other and your family, it's also a part of our DNA. Cheating is an evolved mating strategy that is natural and that any man or woman can fall into. It's an uncomfortable truth, but it's true, and we need to recognize that fact if we're going to begin to understand this whole thing. Most experts on this topic are not really experts, in my opinion, because they ignore this fundamental truth. So you have to understand that all women are capable of cheating under the right circumstances and conditions, even though some are definitely more likely to do it than others. Now, if you're dating a nurse and you decide to dump her because you think that being a nurse is a red flag, and then, well, you're just not very smart, all right? Because you could just end up with a hairdresser or an insurance agent or a yoga instructor or anybody else who will cheat on you instead, all right? The only thing that will keep you safe from getting cheated on, right, is knowing about how cheating works and knowing the unpopular truths about cheating that the experts are often afraid to say. And then you have to know what to do with that knowledge. That is where your skills and frame in relationship game come to play. When you have frame, your woman won't cheat on you. And when you lose frame, she absolutely can do that. Or what, no matter how good that woman is or what her profession might be. So make sure you sign up for my free community in school where you can ask more questions about infidelity, and where I even have an entire course over there on proper relationship boundaries and cheating prevention. So don't miss out on that. Back to nurses. Some pathological personalities might be attracted to nursing and might climb through the ranks and get into different positions of power. One thing in common for psychopaths is that they love professions where they get to have power over others. So, yeah, that is really a real thing. But statistically, it doesn't really explain the high numbers of cheating, though. I think that if we want to understand this, we look at the conditions that the profession creates that would cause a woman to trigger her natural instincts to be unfaithful. Now, the number one reason I think we can look at is what the combination of high stress plus facing the idea of death and mortality causes at an instinctual level. Studies show that stress combined with a sense of threat increases compulsive sexual behavior. This might not seem to make sense at first, but it fits together if you understand it from an evolutionary perspective. If a woman is under high stress and feels a threat to her survival or mortality, or if that is something she's experiencing and something she's conscious of, it's going to trigger compulsive sexual behaviors, because you have to remember, in our evolutionary imperative and drive is to procreate and propagate the species. So if there is duress, then the woman's body is triggered to increase sexual behaviors in order to have as many kids as possible before a potential early death. This might also explain why, when left to instinct and when not using the thinking part of the brain, women in poverty and with more stress and threats around them tend to have more kids with a variety of different men. Bottom line is that survival stress causes women to want to fuck more and to seek more variety rather than being sexually conservative and seeking out a stable man to build a future. And it's fair to say that a lot of nurses work in high stress environments where they are facing the reality of death and how fragile life is, and long hours and time away from husbands and boyfriends. And many of them are going to seek out variety of sexual experiences and short term experiences. This can explain why many women in professions like nursing, in this case, or the military or law enforcement, seek out promiscuous sexual experiences as well as struggle to be faithful. So, women in these jobs that signal survival stress will need to do certain things and set certain boundaries for themselves, as well as having certain values in order to not find themselves ruining their relationships and seeking sexual variety. And that means that you, as a man who might be dating these women, will need to do some specific things to maintain frame. Unless, of course, you want your girlfriend fucking the hippie barista in the broom closet on her 30-minute break. Now, if you like this video and you want me to talk about why teachers cheat more than other professions, let me know in the comments. And make sure you're subscribed and hitting that like button. If I get enough interest, I'll do another video where we can break down why a highly respected profession has so many women struggling with whoredom. All right, till next time.